I'm so glad I went to the event because I was so prepared. I was super prepared. At that time, I got all my coffee sorted out for this year, 2025. More than half already sorted out prior to the crisis.
Amazing.
Because I was there. So I learned so many things. I able to make better decisions when purchasing my coffee, planning my coffee for the year. So I came back. So after the event, I came back, wow, with so much knowledge. It didn't sink to me that I needed to do something about it. But just...
Really?
It didn't sink to me that it's connecting things. But then I realized, because I told you, I was exploring into social enterprise. Then by early June, everything clicked. It took me about 2 months to click things, to do something.
To process.
Yeah. So after knowing so much, I tell myself, it's just going to be so irresponsible for me to know so much and do nothing. So I decided
I love that.
I need to do something about it.
If you're starting or growing your business in these volatile times in coffee and you need a little extra support, our scope of business advisory services may be just what you need. Join one of our hugely successful mastermind groups for support in a group setting, or send us an email to discuss our one-on-one consulting and business advisory services, where we'll work with you one-on-one to solve specific problems in your coffee business. All our services come with a 100% money-back guarantee, so send us an email at support@mapitforward.org and let us know how we can help you today.
Welcome to the Daily Coffee Pro by Map It Forward, friends. I'm your host, Lee Safar, and this is episode 1 of a brand new 5-part series with a brand new guest, someone who we have never had on the podcast before. And it's my pleasure to introduce Kelvin Ngow from Origine, not Origin, Origine, and Coffex Coffee. Welcome to the podcast for the first time, Kelvin. How are you?
Very well. Nice to be here. So excited for what we are gonna talk today, and I'll be sharing a lot of my personal perspective.
I'm very excited for this conversation because for a couple of reasons. We haven't had enough people. You're based in Malaysia. We have never had anyone from Malaysia on the podcast before. So this is very exciting for me to get to hear from someone in Malaysia. And the other reason is because of what we're going to be talking about in this series, which is how do we reduce the carbon footprint of coffee? Now, I swear Felipe Croce should get like a trophy for the amount of people that he introduces me to for this podcast. Thank you again to Felipe. Felipe was the first one who told me about your brand, Origine and Coffex. Now, I know that you and Felipe work really closely together. I've been watching your brand for quite some time after Felipe mentioned the work that you're doing with regards to the way that you're engaging with coffee farmers and your change of perspective. And I'm really glad to have you here because you are somebody who was not on the regenerative bandwagon. You weren't focused on this side of coffee, and now you are for the last couple of years. And so why I want to have a conversation with you is because I think that there are a lot of roasters out there, much like we did with George Howell, who was on, he's on this week actually. We're recording this on the 9th of July. And I wanted to understand from George's perspective, how do you go from being a really successful brand that purchases specialty coffee and looks for really great quality coffee to now changing and adding another layer onto that from I need to figure out how to purchase coffee that's going to be here beyond the conventional and traditional farming mechanisms. And so I really appreciate you being here and your openness to share that journey that you've started and how it's going and to address some of these things. So as we get started with this, Kelvin, I wonder, could you tell people about Origine and Coffex and yourself in coffee?
Okay. I will start with Coffex first, right? So I'm in this industry for 28 years. So I started in 1997. Established. I studied in Melbourne, in Australia, And I was there when they starting to grow the coffee away from traditional coffee drinking Italian style towards a very experimental third wave coffee scene where it created a lot of interest, and it mirrors the wine industry. So everyone was curious. Everyone wants to drink better quality coffee. So everyone started roasting the coffee lighter and lighter. And then there's a huge growth in the third wave industry throughout Australia, especially in Melbourne. So I was there. So when I started my coffee business in Malaysia in 1997, I wanted to bring Aussie style coffee into Malaysia. That's how I started. So as we move along, we caught up into the bandwagon of specialty coffee. And then we watched competitions from around the world happening, countries having their baristas competing. That's how exciting. And I believe that in Malaysia, we want to get our baristas out there. At that time, there wasn't any specialty coffee movement at all. So I started the first competition. I think that was in 2005, around that time. Started first competition. All because in Singapore, there was a trade show called Food Hotel Asia. But the organizer reached out to me and said, look, do you want to send a national barista from Malaysia to compete in the ASEAN Coffee Championship? So open for all ASEANs, and anyone can enter. But as long as you have a representative from Malaysia. I said, wow, I don't have a competition yet. So I quickly put up a competition. The first head judge I got to run on this competition was Ross Bright. Sadly, he passed away recently from Singapore. And he became a head judge and organized the competition. And we started our first ever competition. So the person that won the competition is currently sitting on Malaysian Specialty Coffee Association board with me as a head judge. Yeah. So her name is Carol Lee. So we quickly put up a competition and we sent our representative to compete. So that was our first taste for Malaysians to be in a platform able to compete. And I used that as a huge marketing platform to engage baristas, because baristas are so passionate in the coffee industry. You can't stop them talking. You can't stop them sharing their passion in the coffee industry. So we understand that, and we gave them a platform to showcase their craft. So from then on, the coffee industry started growing. Many of them started opening cafes and so on. And some of these baristas are still representing the country up to today.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah. So that was the early days. So the specialty coffee scene grew, and now we have a very, very vibrant scene going on in Malaysia with heaps of micro roasters, having specialty coffee, friendly baristas, and we all work harmoniously with each other. So as a progress, after a few years of running that competition, and I said to myself, look, I can't be running this all the time, year in, year out, because it's costing my company a lot of money. So I engaged some of our trade competitors to join me. I handpicked them. I said, look, you need to help this industry grow. You need to come on board with me to make sure this industry is growing. And we work with many of the competitors. But as far as you come in together, we are friends. We are all friends. But of course, when it comes to business, we can compete openly, but in a very respectable manner. So subsequently, we wrote to SCA, and then we formed the organization that's taking charge to run the comms. So I was also a founding member for the Malaysian Specialty Coffee Association. We are celebrating our 10th anniversary this year, this end of this month.
Congratulations.
Yeah. So I'm also now the current president of our Malaysian Specialty Coffee Association. On my second term already. So this is my last term. So I'm finished, because on our constitution, you can't run for presidency more than 2 terms. So I'm very glad to work with all the members and all my board members in my association, because they are all very, very passionate people. and we all
I
work
love
very
it.
well together with very high honesty and integrity. We run problems and solve problems together with all of them. And
Yeah, I love it.
uh,
We need more of that in the industry.
yeah, so I think Malaysian industry is very unique. We have many competitors within the trade, but we all talk to each other. We all work together, and we don't have animosity or aggressive competition going on in the market. We all can pick up the phone. Hey, let's talk. Let's have a meal. Let's have a drink. No issue. We work well with each other, and
That sounds a lot like the Saudi market.
Mm.
The Saudi market is a lot like that. The Australian market is not. I don't think that the UAE is like that. The American market is absolutely not like that. Like we should have more of this.
Yes.
We should have more of people that can compete without being predatory towards each other.
Yes. We compete because in business we have to compete, right? But in a very
Right.
respectable manner.
You don't have to try and crush each other.
No, because all we want to do is to build a bigger pie for everyone.
Yeah.
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 So-
I often get accused of being like somebody who's anti-capitalist or somebody who is unrealistic about the way that business is done. I'm a conscious capitalist, folks. I really like the idea of making society better and doing good business and solving problems and
Yes.
making money and living a really great life. I have zero tolerance for people who try to crush each other.
Yes.
Solve problems and monetize the problems. There's plenty of problems that need to be solved, and people want to spend their money for you to solve their problems.
Correct.
There is a part of our industry that thinks that they have to go out there and crush the other person. And that usually those companies are at the source of what's gotten us to where we are right now in the challenging times that we're in coffee. And it's, in my opinion, we're on the verge of a collapse that from our own creating. And that collapse is being caused by the kinds of people who have said, we're going to build an industry off the backs of cheap coffee. And the only way that that was able to continue is because producers said, okay, we want to be in relationship with you. We're going to play the long game. And now the producers have nowhere else to go because coffee production is in threat. And from the way that I understand it, the way I got told the story, Felipe did an event at FAF a couple of years ago, and you went there.
Yes.
And you saw what was happening there.
Yes.
And apparently it was kind of life-changing for you from a business perspective because, so for those who, I'm sure everybody knows, but FAF is done with Agroforestry, Felipe's farm. And he had like a week-long event or something, and there was no business talk. It was just about agroforestry. Do you want to tell everybody about it?
Okay. So just roll back a little bit before the event.
Sure.
Yeah? So
Sure.
for the last couple of years, I was looking into how to transform my business, right, into a business that do good. So I went looking into social enterprises, events, attending them, listening to social entrepreneurs everywhere. But honestly, I find it difficult to find something that is relatable because I was looking at other businesses, not my coffee business. But then after I went to Felipe's farm, in actual fact, I met Felipe back in 2012. So I was the first Q grader. Me and my colleague are the first Q graders in the country. And we started roasting in her around that time, 2012, 2013. So my head trainer was Andrew Hetzel.
Shout out to Andrew. He's been on the podcast a couple of times too.
My classmate was Sasa Sestic. One of my most notable classmates is Sasa Sestic. So, yeah, at that time, I asked Andrew. I said, "Look, I want to do a connection with farmers in Brazil. Do you know of anybody that I can, that I can work with, I can connect with to explore that option?" Because prior to that,
Andrew's
was
amazing.
ordering coffee through traders. Yeah, I worked with traders, and we bought coffee from them. So, and Andrew mentioned to me, hey, you know, I know this family really well. They're a great family. It's Fazenda Ambeta Fortaleza. So I wrote to Fazenda Ambeta Fortaleza, and I can't remember who replied me back. Could be Marcos. I think it could be Marcos. I can't remember.
Probably.
And connected. But we never done any business. We just connected first. But then coincidentally, I was in Melbourne during a trip, and I attended some cupping events, and I bumped into Felipe there.
Nice.
Yeah, it's by chance. I bumped into Felipe, and I invited him back to my office in Melbourne, which I had before. And we start talking, and I even introduced my Australian counterpart to look into sourcing better coffee through Felipe. Unfortunately, they didn't start, and I did. And we started little bit by little bit, ordering bit by bit. But for a few years, we ordered, and there was a crisis. There was a coffee crisis. I can't remember when it was. I think it could be around 2000, mid-2000s, 2014 or between 2014 and 17. And I told Felipe, I said, look, I can't afford to buy specialty coffee anymore because we're having a crisis, and I'm being sandwiched, I'm being chased. And Felipe said to me, Kelvin, once you set off with offering better quality coffee to customers, please don't change it, because customers are now expecting better quality coffee. If you are in a situation here, I'm offering ourselves to help you out. I said, fantastic. I said, look, I just need to cover this period for a few months to see what happens to the coffee market. And Felipe said, no worries, I'll cover you. You know, what price are you looking at? Let's make a deal. I don't want you to change the quality. I said, wow, this is such a great friend. This is such a great relation, because
he's an incredible
they work with us
partner to
through
have
difficult times.
in business.
So, and we never stopped dealing over that period. But over the 10-year period, I've never visited farm.
Okay.
Well, in 2023, Felipe reached out and said, look, Kelvin, can you come to the farm? You know, you've never been to a farm. Can you come to the farm? We're going to have an event. I can't remember. It was, I think, sometime in October 2023. But it was so sudden to me. I said, and I dread traveling. That's why I don't do a lot of farm visits to South America, because the traveling time from Malaysia to South America is more than 30 hours.
Yeah, right.
It's a long trip. And I do value relationships very much. As long as you provide me great coffee, we have a good relationship, I pay my bills on time, fantastic, no? So he insisted that I come. I said I couldn't make it on 2023. So I said, okay, in 2024, I'm going to have another event. Please come. And I can't turn him down anymore. So I turned up for the event. I wasn't expecting anything. I thought it was just a farm visit, connecting with his team, with me, to know more about what they're doing. Little did I know it was an impact seminar organized by Felipe. So when I was there, I met all the long-time customers. There are more than 10 years from all around the world. Great people. I was so happy to be there because I got to learn about UDR, problems in the climate, coffee industry, carbon in the whole supply chain. We have researchers from university sharing about how bees contribute to relating the coffee, and coffee trees are actually happier with the bees around, and contrasting with monoculture farming and what are the problems it's creating. So I was so overwhelmed because it was so mind-opening for me. Suddenly, I got dumped with a lot of information and also a lot of problems and even solutions that may help the coffee production in the future. How to be more resilient in climate change problems that the world is facing. Not only Brazil, but the world is facing. But it's impacting Brazil a lot because Brazil is the world's largest coffee producer. They produce 40% of the world Arabica's supply. So if Brazil have a sneeze or Brazil have a problem, it's a shock to the world because the impact is great. And I was shocked also that the climate change problems that they are facing will be causing huge problems in the very, very near future. Within the next couple of years, you see differences. And that time it was in April. And guess what? We had a huge price and supply problem increase in November. And I'm so glad I went to the event because I was so prepared. I was super prepared. At that time, I got all my coffee sorted out for this year, 2025. More than half already sorted out prior to the crisis.
Amazing.
Because I was there. So I learned so many things. I able to make better decisions when purchasing my coffee, planning my coffee for the year. So I came back. So after the event, I came back, wow, with so much knowledge. It didn't sink to me that I needed to do something about it. But just...
Really?
It didn't sink to me that it's connecting things. But then I realized, because I told you, I was exploring into social and enterprise. Then by early June, everything clicked. It took me about 2 months to click things, to do something.
To process.
Yeah. So after knowing so much, I tell myself, it's just going to be so irresponsible for me to know so much and do nothing. So I decided
I love that.
I need to do something about it. And then it just hit me that, wow, now I can do something about it through coffee, through my business. And I don't have to change anything. I don't have to invest in a new business, in a new product, nothing. I can do this through what I already love and what I already know what to do for the past 27 years. So things clicked, it connected, and we quickly started a brand. So the brand is called Mono Origin. So Mono Origin, the name, how I coined it is because mono is single, right? So we used single origin before, but single is such a common
okay, now
word.
I get it.
So we use mono because I love the Italian lifestyle. I'm connected a lot to Italy because we deal with a lot of Italian machines. And mono seems so simplistic, so minimalist. But we can't use just mono. So I came out with Mono Origin so that I can register the name. So at that time, when my team asked me, what does mono means? Wow, I was thinking, what does it mean? It took me another couple of months to process it because through what we are doing, we are helping nature, we are helping planet. So I'm just going to explain what mono means.
Sure.
The M is for mankind. So we want to do no harm to mankind, least harm to mankind. Because ultimately, humanity needs to survive. Humanity needs to move on. The O, the first O, represents our planet.
The shape of it.
Yes. We do not want to destroy. We want to be kind to our planet. Because the planet houses many other animals, many other insects, many other living creatures, including us. N is for nature. We do not want to harm nature. And the last O is karma. All right, karma. We do good things, and then you expect return of 10 times better coming back to you. If you do bad things, it'll come back to you in not a very nice way.
Full circle.
It's a full circle. Yes. So now I'm beginning to able to explain what Mono Origin means. And this became the guiding star for the transformation of my company. So when I started Mono and what I'm going to do, my whole team of people in my company thinks I'm crazy. Because
Can I just stop you for a second there? Folks, what you just heard is a masterclass in how to build an intentional brand with values. If you have ever wondered how you come up with a brand concept that has intention deeply steeped into it, please rewind this a little bit and listen to that. Listen to what Kelvin just said, because he can very clearly articulate to you everything that his business is about from what he just told you about his brand, not about his business, about his brand. And that's one of the questions I get a lot from people who want consulting work, Kelvin. How do I build intentionality into the brand? That was a masterclass.
Yes.
So I'm sorry that I interrupted you there, but I thought that was important for people to recognize. Go on.
So every time we build a brand, it's easy to build a brand because you can think of what all the things that are characteristic you want to have to be in the brand. But transforming cultures within the company, that's very, very difficult. We've probably heard many times that, especially long-established companies, you have a whole team of people that's been working with us or with me for X number of years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, 40 years, whatnot. To change the mindset is not difficult because to change my mindset was not easy as well. But now, change other mindset is again difficult because they're so
and how do you
within the culture of the business, of the way they've been doing things, right?
Well, and this brings up what we want to talk about in the next episode, which is like longevity. How do you can change somebody's mind to get them interested in something, but now you have to rebuild something for the long term. So we're going to carry this conversation on into the next episode, folks, where we're going to ask the question, what should we be focusing on to create longevity in coffee, as well as in our brands, in our businesses? If we're taking a different perspective, how do we create longevity in that? And that's the thing that most people are telling you, no, this regenerative thing can't work because we can't build a business model out of it. So join us for that. Peace, love, and peanut butter. Have an amazing rest of your day.
This episode is part of a 5-part series produced by Mapper Forward. Check the full playlist and guest details in the show notes, as well as how you can support our work in the coffee industry. Become a premium YouTube subscriber, explore our Patreon and any brands we've partnered with to bring you this podcast. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. It really does help us grow our audience.